for each feature vector which is coming from n dimension, you want to create a new feature vector which is having only m elements. Okay, so for each city is having 7 dimensional in original problem, but we are coming to 4 for city 1 to city 10. How you can do it? So what you can do, this is your n by 1 column, and this, so how you can come? You have to find out some m by n matrix. Okay, so if you pre-multiply this m by n matrix to this n by 1 column, what you will get? You will get a new column
m cross 1.
M cross 1. And now this matrix should work for all the feature vectors. It must work for all the cities. Okay, so our objective is to find out this matrix, and every matrix is a linear transformation. Okay, so I want to find out this matrix which make n dimensional problem to m dimensional problem, and I should lose the minimum information from my data. So when I am saying that I should lose minimum information about the variability of the data, it means I should project my data into m dimensional space. What m dimensions? Which will be having the maximum variation. So for example, see here, in this problem, I am having a 2-dimensional problem, x1 and x2. So this data is like this, x1, x2. So each point is a feature vector. Like if this is point 1, it will be having some x1 coordinate and x2 coordinate, horizontal and vertical coordinates. Now it is a 2-dimensional problem. If I want to reduce the dimension to 1, so what I would like to do? I would like to project all these points onto a line, and the direction of that line should be in the direction in which your data is having the maximum variation. And if you see this line, in this direction it is having the maximum variation, in the direction of this vector E. It is not, I am not taking either x1 or x2, I am not leaving. So this direction E is a linear combination of x1 and x2. So this E will be something w1 x1 plus w2 x2. So what you need to find out? You need to find out the direction of this line, which is your w1 w2, given by the vector w1 w2. Once I got this line, I can project these points onto this line. Now what we mean by the projection? Just I will take the dot product of this with first point. So I will get a new 1-dimensional, only one quantity. I will take the second point coordinates. I will take the dot product with this line direction, line vector, third one, and so on. This I will do for all these points. And in that way I will get a new representation y, which will be having only 1-dimensional representation of these points, and that is the projection onto this line. So this technique is called principal component analysis. The theory of this was given by Karl Pearson in almost 120 years back, and what we do in this? We find projections that capture the largest amount of variation in data. So it is a statistical technique, okay, based on the covariance matrix, very simple technique. So we will learn about it, and you can see that it was proposed almost 120 years back, but it is quite popular nowadays. Even it was very much popular around 2000 to 2010 to reduce the dimensions of the data or any sort of data analysis. Okay, so let us try to learn what is PCA. So for that, I think all of you are not having the mathematical background, so we need a very small concept from mathematics, and I will introduce it in a very layman language so that it must be clear to everyone, because these concepts are the basic of this PCA. So whenever you are having any doubt, you can interrupt me. So just look at this picture. So if I say it is a two-dimensional plane, x-axis and y-axis, and there is a piece of bread which is left half of the bread is covered by the butter. Now what I want to do, I want to apply a transformation onto this butter such that it must spread over the whole piece of bread. So what must be the transformation? Anybody of you? I want to stretch it to all bread slice. So if you see what is happening before transformation and after transformation, what is happening? Earlier, in the x direction, I was having this much length. Now it is just double of the earlier. So whatever x I was having earlier, I am going to twice x. What about other direction, y direction?
Sir, y equals to 2y. Sorry, y equals to y. Y equals to y, sir.
Y is going to y only. Wonderful. So I am having xy, and from this xy I need x2y. And I told you I want to apply a linear transformation. So linear transformation means it is a two-dimensional space. So I will be having a 2 by 2 matrix.
So that will be 2xy, sir, not x2y.
Sorry. 2xy. Yeah. So what is this 2 by 2 matrix? So it will be 2, 0, 0, 1. So 2 into x plus 0 into y will become 2x, 0 into x plus 1 into y will become y. Okay. So this linear transformation is this one, 2, 0, 0, 1. Now see some mathematical property of this matrix. So every square matrix is having these two things, eigenvectors and eigenvalues. How to find out? So if A is a square matrix, like that is a 2 by 2 matrix, I will be having, if A is a n by n matrix, let us say in general I am talking, then I will be having a n by 1 vector x, and that is a non-zero vector, equals to a scalar, so it is a constant, time x. So if a non-zero vector x along with a scalar lambda satisfy this relation for a given matrix A, then lambda is called eigenvalue and x is called corresponding eigenvector corresponding to eigenvalue lambda. So for example, I am having this matrix. Okay, so how to find out eigenvalue? Just take the determinant of A minus lambda I, and this equals to 0. So from here I will get a polynomial in lambda of degree 2, and which will give me the eigenvalue of this matrix. So eigenvalues are coming 2 and 1. In fact, it is a diagonal matrix, and the diagonal entries of the diagonal matrix are the eigenvalue. Then what I do, I find the eigenvector for lambda equals to 2. So as I told you, I am having, okay, instead of x I have taken v here, av equals to lambda v, and by solving this I got this vector in 2D, 1 and 0. What this vector is saying, that everywhere y component is 0. So in a vector where everywhere y component is 0, so if you see the two-dimensional coordinate system and I am asking you a line on which everywhere y component is 0, is nothing just your horizontal axis, that is your x-axis. So eigenvector corresponding to lambda equals to 2 is x-axis. Similarly, eigenvector corresponding to lambda equals to 1 comes out to be 0, 1, and it is nothing just your y-axis. Now, eigenvalue lambda equals to 2, eigenvector x-axis, eigenvalue lambda equals to 1, eigenvector y-axis. Transformation is 2, 0, 0, 1, which makes half covered bread slice to fully covered bread slice by the butter. So now can you find out a relation between eigenvalue and eigenvectors and the change made by the matrix or change made by the transformation in the object? What kind of change I am getting? In x is going to 2x and y is going to y. So what I can say from this analysis, that eigenvectors are giving me the change, direction of the change, and eigenvalue is giving me the amount of change. Like in x direction, I am having a change of 2 times. In y direction, I do not have any change, means a change of 1 time. So in that way, we are having a relation between eigenvalue, eigenvectors and the change made by the transformation. And this is the basic concept when we will apply PCA. Any questions so far? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Dear participants, you may ask questions in between also.
You can ask any time whenever you are having.
Sir, Farooq Khan has written that, sir, it means elements having more redundancies can be reduced. Okay, long back he had written.
So whatever question you are having, you can unmute and you can ask me. Okay. Okay, so this is another example. I am having this particular object. Before the transformation, I applied this transformation to each and every point of this object, and this object transform into this new shape. So can you, based on the previous reasoning, can you tell me what is the eigenvector and what is the eigenvalue of this matrix, just by looking or observing this change? Can you tell me? So in which direction I am having change? In the direction of, in the direction of this? Yes or no? And what is this direction? This is a direction given by the line y equals to x. So what kind of eigenvector I can take? If I take x equals to 1, then y is also 1. So one of the eigenvector is 1, 1. And if you observe it, earlier I was having this length, but after transformation I am having this much length, double length. So eigenvalue is 2 here. Another one, because you can notice all are symmetric matrix. Symmetric means A equals to A transpose, means if you interchange row and columns of that particular matrix, it will remain same. So if you interchange row and column, means you interchange first row by first column, second row by second column, matrix will be same. So those are symmetric matrix. And if you are having symmetric matrix, eigenvectors are orthogonal, means will make perpendicular to each other in case of 2D. So if one of the eigenvector is 1 1, another one will be 1 and minus 1, and there is no change in this direction. So eigenvalue is 1. Okay. So you must be having some visualization of eigenvalues and eigenvector. Now some more, maybe because all of you know all this, we are having some statistics preliminaries like mean, and you know very well that if I am having n observations x1, x2, xn, and I want to calculate the mean, I will add all those divided by the number of the observations, means n here. And it is a measure of central tendency. Other measures are mode and median. The next one is standard deviation. So like mean is a measure of central tendency, standard deviation tells you that how much your data is deviating from the mean. Okay, so it is a measure of variability, and it is square root of the variance. If I am saying that sigma is the standard deviation, then sigma square is the variance, and it is given by this formula. You take each observation, you subtract mean from that, take the square, and make the sum of all those square differences of the observation and mean divided by n. That comes out to be sigma square variance, and if you take the square root, it will be standard deviation. So if I go there, if you can recall that particular thing, let me go back, sorry. What is the mean of this column? Anybody of you? Hello?
Right, sir.
The
Yeah,
mean
what
will be
mean is
8,
and standard deviation is
0.
wonderful. So which direction or which dimension or which feature is more important to me? Which is having more variability, means which is having higher standard deviation. Okay, getting my point? Yeah. So let me come back here. So this is when I talk about one column, but if you are having data in two columns, let us say x1 and x2. So I am having some data here for some number of samples and for x2 attribute of data. Okay. Now covariance, I will talk about covariance. So it is a measure of how two variables change together, and mathematically it is given by this one, that is xi observation of x1 column. So here I have written x and y in formula, so let me take x and y. So x data minus mean of x, so you will get a vector from here, so it will be a 1 by n vector, and then you will be having again this n by 1 vector. Once you take the dot product of those two vectors, you will get a scalar quantity, divide it by n, it will give you the covariance between x and y. Now it is a scalar quantity, it may be negative, 0 or positive. If it is negative, then the change in the two data are in opposite direction. If x1 is increasing, then y is decreasing, or if x is decreasing, y is increasing. If it is positive, then the change is in the same direction. Means if one is increasing, another one is also increasing. If one is decreasing, another one is also decreasing. And if the covariance is 0, then we cannot make any such analysis. They are independent. Okay, they are independent. So this is covariance if you are having two columns. And from, as I told you, based on the change, you can make some kind of analysis about the covariance. So for example, if I take a two-dimensional data and my data is going like this. So what you can say, what kind of covariance I will be having? This is x, this is y. So if x is increasing, what is happening? Y is also increasing. You can see from this direction. Okay. So hence I must be having the positive covariance between x and y. But on the other hand, if my data is like this, so what is happening? X is increasing, but y is decreasing. You can see from this line. Okay, the patterns are coming like this. So if x is increasing in this direction, y is decreasing. Hence, here you must be having negative covariance. And 0 means you don't have any, you cannot make this kind of analysis. I will give you more example of this. So this is about covariance. Now if you are having multiple column data, multiple dimension data, okay, you are having multiple variables or multiple dimensions, whatever you want to say, there are many terms for that. So let us say x1, x2 up to xd. Like in that city example, you are having 7 dimensions, x1, x2 up to x7, if I write like that. Then I can calculate covariance matrix of that data. So what is this covariance matrix? So if you are having this d-dimensional data, covariance matrix will be a d by d symmetric matrix. Okay, so d by d symmetric matrix will be there, and this d by d symmetric matrix can be formed like the first entry of the first row, that is the pivot entry of the first row, will be our variance of this first column, that is sigma square. Similarly, the diagonal entry in the second row will be the variance of second column. So in that way, all the diagonal entries will be the variance of respective column. What is this entry? The entry in first row and second column will be the covariance between first and second column. The entry in first row and third column will be the covariance between first and third column, and so on. Now what will be the entry in second row and first column? Again it will be the covariance between first and second column. So whatever I am having here, the same thing I will be having here, and that's why I am saying it is a d by d symmetric matrix. So in that way you can form a covariance matrix of your data. So for example, I am having this thing, so I am having these two-dimensional data points. So here I am having thousands of data points. The centroid of this is at 2 and 3. So where it is 2, so 2 is somewhere here and 3. So somewhere here I will be having the centroid or mean of this data given by this column, vector 2 and 3. And what is covariance matrix of this data? So it is a 2-dimensional data. I am having 2 by 2 matrix. So what is this 2? 2 is sigma x1 square, means variance of x1 components of all those points. And 3 is sigma x2 square, means variance of y components of all those points. And then what you will be having? What is this 0? 0 is the covariance between x1 and x2, and you can see this covariance is 0 here, means you cannot say that if one direction is increasing or your data is increasing in one dimension or one direction, in another direction is also it is increasing or decreasing. They are independent of each other. But if you see the next example, just shifted version of this data, here you can see the same mean but the different covariance matrix, and here covariance between x1 and x2 are positive. So what you can say positive is the covariance, that if x1 is increasing, then x2 is also increasing. Now if I ask you, okay, can you approximate or can you find a vector that would approximate this 2D space, or can you find out a line of maximum variation? So I want, if you roughly look, okay, just you can see that in this direction your data will be having maximum variation, yes or no? So what is the direction of this line? What is the direction of this line? How you will find out this direction? I think whatever knowledge I have provided, you can visualize what will be the direction of this line, from where I will get the direction of this line. Anybody of you?
So x equals y.
X equals to y. You are saying x equals to y, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it? I don't think so. It may be a bit variated from that. Means if x equals to y is like this, this is your line x equals to y. It can be like this also, or like this also, or like this also. Yes or no? So what exactly you want to convey? I want precisely direction of this line. It may be, instead of x equals to y, it may be x equals to 0.99y or x equals to 1.02y. Okay, a bit deviated from that. How precisely you will find out? Okay, let me tell you. I told you that change in the data, when you are having any change in the data, because it is a data which has been transformed from the previous, from here after applying some transformation. And what is that transformation? Given by this covariance matrix. Now change is given by the eigenvector, and amount of, direction of change is given by the eigenvector, amount of change is given by the eigenvalue. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix. You must be having two eigenvalues of this, lambda 1 and lambda 2, and then you will be having, corresponding to each eigenvalue, you must be having an eigenvector x1 and x2. For x1, x2, I am taking dimension, so I can say v1 and v2. Now, this direction is the direction which is the direction of the eigenvector corresponding to bigger eigenvalue. So, out of this lambda 1, lambda 2, one of the eigenvalue will be bigger. Let us say lambda 2 is bigger than lambda 1. So, the direction of this line or direction of maximum variation in your data is nothing, just the direction of eigenvector corresponding to bigger eigenvalue. So, for example, here this is the direction, and this direction, if you calculate the eigenvalues of this matrix, it comes out to be lambda equals to 0.4384 and lambda equals to 4.5616. So, which one is bigger? Certainly this 4.5616 is bigger. This is the eigenvector corresponding to this, and from here you can see this is the direction of this maximum variation. So, now if I want to reduce this data into one dimension, I will project all those points onto this line. Which line? The line given by the eigenvector corresponding to bigger eigenvalue. This eigenvector is called principal eigenvector, and this principal eigenvector gives you the direction of principal component of your data. In this direction your data will be having the maximum variation. Getting my point? And this kind of analysis is called principal component analysis. So, this is the idea. So, now if suppose I am having a 100 dimensional problem, your data is having 100 dimensions, you want to come, let us say 40. How you will come? Anybody of you, based on this 2 to 1 example, you can develop, you can generalize it. How we will do it? Yeah, just think and tell me. Nobody is responding? Okay, let me tell you. So, you are coming from 100 to 40. For this original data which is having 100 dimensions, you will find out the covariance matrix, which will be a 100 by 100 matrix. You will find out the eigenvalue of this. So, lambda 1, lambda 2 up to lambda 100. Now, what you have to do? You have to make it 40 dial. So, what you do out of this 100 eigenvalues, you will choose top 40 eigenvalues. Okay, and then you will find out the corresponding eigenvectors. So, let us say these are in already in descending order, means lambda 1 is bigger, lambda 2, then lambda 3, and so lambda 40, lambda 41, and lambda 100 is the smallest one. So, you will take these top 40 eigenvalues from here. You will find out the eigenvector x1, x2 and x40. You will take the first principal eigenvector, that is x1, that is corresponding to biggest eigenvalue of the largest eigenvalue of the covariance matrix, and you will write that eigenvector as a row of a matrix. Then you will take the x2, second eigenvector, you will write as the second row, and so on. In this way you will be having 40 rows, and each eigenvector, because it is an eigenvector of a 100 by 100 matrix, will be having 100 entries. So, this matrix will be having 100 columns. Okay. Now, you will take your first sample which is having 100 dimensions, 100 by 1. Once you pre-multiply with this matrix, you will get a new 40 by 1 same feature vector corresponding to this 100 dimensional vector for the first sample. The same
Sir?
thing you will do for second and so on.
Hello, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, if for a suppose on finding on the top 40 eigenvalues, we find the corresponding eigenvectors.
Yeah.
But sir, suppose if for a particular eigenvalue we get multiple eigenvectors, I mean the geometric multiplicity is more than one. So in that case, what we have to do?
No, please listen here. Geometric multiplicity cannot exceed algebraic multiplicity. So it may happen that what you want to say, let me explain in a more better manner. It may happen, suppose I am having a 5 cross 5 matrix, okay, and eigenvalues are coming, let us say 4, 4, 3, 3 and 1, like this, and you want to come this 5 dimension to 3 dimension, or let us say 2, yeah, or let us say 4 dimension. You want to reduce 1 dimension, so you will make a cut here, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And now this is having lambda equals to 4 is having algebraic multiplicity 2, yes.
Yes, sir.
Now look for the matrix. It is a symmetric matrix, and symmetric matrix is always having orthogonal diagonalization, means you can always write a symmetric matrix A as P D P transpose, where D is the diagonal matrix having eigenvalues and P is an orthogonal matrix. So for a symmetric matrix, whatever algebraic multiplicity you are having, you will be having same geometric multiplicity. So you will find out 2 eigenvectors from here. You will find out 2 eigenvectors from here. Getting my point? This is it is
like even if we reduce dimension, like we will get the eigenvectors less or equal to the number of eigenvalues.
yeah. That is algebraic multiplicity, oh sorry, geometric multiplicity never exceed algebraic multiplicity for any matrix, but for the symmetric matrix they are equal for each and every eigenvalue.
Okay,
And
sir.
it gives us the guarantee of diagonalization. Okay, whatever number of eigenvalues you are having means repetition of a particular eigenvalue, number of repetition, the same number of eigenvector you will get there. That is true for symmetric matrices, and a covariance matrix is a symmetric matrix. So there should not be any problem in this case. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So I told you, and this 40 by 100 matrix will give you the dimension from 100 to 40. Basically, this 40 by 100 matrix is nothing, just as I told you, this is in the beginning I told you about a matrix. This is this particular matrix. Let me write it here from here. Yeah. So that is this particular matrix, your linear transformation for which we were looking. So let us take one example here, and then we will perform some more experiment in the Python on the real database, real data. So for making a clear understanding, let me take an example here. So just look for this data. It is a 2-dimensional data. So sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, and so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sample 10. So if I plot this data on x and y direction, you can see each plus is giving you a point, a particular sample. Okay, this is the mean of this data. Now I want to reduce 1 dimension. I want to find out 1 dimensional representation of this. So 1 dimensional representation means you have to find out a line in the direction of maximum variation, and then you have to project all those points onto that line. Now how to find out this line? What is our first step? सबसे पहला काम क्या करेंगे? Anybody of you?
Sir, we can assume a mean. in the middle of the value, in the middle of the observation.
Okay, you can normalize, no problem. Even though you do or not do, no problem. But that's okay. So whatever I told you, what is your first step? From this data, what we will find out? What we will find? क्या करते हैं सबसे पहले? First, we will find out. Yeah, someone is written. Eigenvalue, no eigenvalue. Eigenvalue of what? First, I will find out the covariance matrix of this data. In second step, I will find out the eigenvalues, lambda 1 and lambda 2. And then step 3, I will find out the eigenvector corresponding to bigger eigenvalue. And that will be the direction of principal component. Okay. So let us find out the covariance matrix of this data. So covariance matrix comes out to be like this. So you can see it is a symmetric matrix. I calculate the eigenvalues. Eigenvalue is lambda 1 and lambda 2. Which one is bigger? Lambda 2 is bigger. 1.28 is bigger than 0.049 and so on. This is the eigenvector corresponding to lambda 1. This is corresponding to lambda 2. So which is my principal eigenvector? Corresponding to lambda 2, since lambda 2 is a bigger eigenvalue. So this is my principal eigenvector. Now I will take the dot product of this vector with each and every point. Here, like first I will take this vector, first point, sample point. I will take the dot product of principal eigenvector. Then I will do it for. So once I will do it for all these 10 samples, I got these values. And this is the one-dimensional visual representation of this data. And this is numeric. So instead of now x and y, you are having simply one-dimensional representation. So this is one-dimensional representation of the data. Now whenever we make this kind of representation, certainly we lose some information. So for example, in this problem, I got lambda 1 and lambda 2. So how much information I am preserving about the variability of my data? So here you just coming lambda 2 upon lambda 1 plus lambda 2. So in the denominator you will be having the sum of all eigenvalues, and in the numerator you will be having the sum of the eigenvalues for those you have selected, like and then into 100. This much percent information you are preserving about the variability of your data. So for example, I told you that example, 100 to 40 in the previous slide. So there you will be having lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus up to, if lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 40 are the biggest eigenvalue out of the 100, bigger one. In the denominator, lambda 1, lambda 2 plus lambda 100 into 100%. This much information you are preserving. So if you are having, let us say, matrix which is having one eigenvalue 100, another one is having 0.1, another one is having 0.1, and you are coming from 3-dimensional space to 1-dimensional space. So you will be having 100 upon sum of this 100.2%, and it is not very small value, means you are preserving almost all the information about the variability of your data. So this is the theory of the PCA. Any questions so far? Hello?
No, sir. No question, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then let us take some example on I will say on the real data set. So how many of you know about Python? Do you know about the Python? that is a language, or R?
Sir, we have basic understanding, sir.
Okay, no problem. I will just say, I will tell you in a very brief, and it will be having not much, not require much expertise. So let me open this. So you can run a Python code on Google Colab. Directly you can execute your code there. So I am opening that. Let me share that slide, that particular screen. And let me stop it here and let me share the other one. So can you see now one Python Colab notebook?
Yes, sir. Your screen is
Okay.
visible.
So actually what is the problem? Here I am having a data which is a data set of flowers, iris of the flowers. And these flowers are coming from 3 different classes. Okay. So 3 different category. Okay, species or whatever you want to say. Now for each iris I am having, and there I am having almost 160 samples of those, or 158 samples like that of those flowers, and each flower is having these 4 parameters or these 4 attributes: sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. Okay, and this is in centimeter. So I am having this 4-dimensional problem. So in first these 2 lines from sklearn import data sets, I am just importing this data set into my Google Colab notebook. So it is running. Yeah, it will take a bit time because it is first. It will connected now, and now it will run.
What is sklearn, sir?
sklearn is scikit-learn, means it is a utility, or it is a library in Python, inbuilt library, which is having almost all the functionality coming from machine learning. Okay, so all the algorithm whatever you are having in machine learning, almost you can call. Okay, all those functions you can call directly using sklearn. Here I am importing
File
this
name, sir? What is the file name here?
file name of what?
So that you are importing?
Data sets, and from data set I will import iris. So I will load iris in my code. So data set name is iris. Okay, so there are many data sets also there in sklearn too, for just experiment purpose. Okay, already some benchmark data sets are there. Okay, so I have imported this data set with the name of iris in my code. Now I am getting the feature of this iris.get feature names, and you can see these are the features. So it is a 4-dimensional problem. If you want to see the data, so data is like that. So yeah, it's coming. So data is like that. So these are samples. So first entry in each row is sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, and it is in centimeter. So you can see for almost 158 samples. And then targets. Target means their class information. Actually it is not needed in PCA. There we don't want any class information, but we have imported the data, so that's why I am showing here. So you can see this much samples. First, these many samples are coming from a particular class, let us say 0 class, 0 type of flowers. These are coming from the next category of flowers, and this is coming from the next category of flowers. So total I am having 3 classes. Okay. Now from the same scalar, but now from the decomposition package, I am importing PCA. So you can directly call PCA in your code, like that covariance matrix, eigenvalues, eigenvectors, that I have introduced you the theory of that. Okay, but you can directly import it in your code. And then you are having matplotlib pyplot for plotting. Then it is a 4-dimensional problem, you can see. Now what I will do, I will reduce it into a 2-dimensional problem. So number of components now 2. Okay, so instead of 4 I need 2 dimensions. And then PCA.fit for calculating the eigenvalue, eigenvectors, etc. First 2 principal eigenvectors, and this just to transform or project all 4-dimensional data to that new 2-dimensional space. And these are for plotting. So after once you have this plotting, first I have to import it. Let me do it. And then so now you can see this is that 4-dimensional data in 2D. This is your principal component 1 on the horizontal axis. On the vertical axis you are having principal component 2. Okay, and you can see even in 2 dimensions your data is linearly separable. You can use linear classification algorithm for classifying this data into different class. Different class are giving the different patterns from different types of flowers. Okay, some mixing is here, mixed cluster are here in this area, except this particular thing you are having almost separate classes, which can be separate simply by hyperplanes or linear classifier, because they will generate hyperplane only. So this is first example. So if you can see your data is easily you can easily classify your data in 2D, then why to go for 4D? That's what I want to say here. Okay, so first reduce the dimension and then do it. So that is one of the example. Any questions so far? Okay, if it is not, let me come to my this one. My PowerPoint, So I am let me go to another example. Let me show you, and then I will come back to this topic. I must be having something here. So this is that PCA I told you on the Irish data set, not that one. But there is one more data set that is called wine data set. So this is a data set which is having 3 types of Italian wine, and it is having again the almost 170 samples of the Italian wine coming from 3 different winery, means 3 different factory, 3 different brands. And then for each wine sample I am having these 13 patterns. So these 13 parameters like alcohol quantity, other chemical quantity, color, percentage, and so on, I am having these 13 attributes. So it is a 13-dimensional data set, wine data set. I want to apply the PCA, and I want to reduce it into 2D, and then I want to project it. Okay, so once you do it, you can see here what you are having. Each color is representing the different type of patterns. So what you can see from here, we are having mixed clusters. Okay, these data is not linearly separable. Ideally, I want data like this, so that I can have a hyperplane here to separate these two classes, and a hyperplane here to separate these two classes. Okay, but after applying PCA, what I am getting? I am getting mixed clustering. And for classifying this particular thing in 2D, you need a very complex model of the classification. So actually, in original space in 13D, this problem can be solved using linear classifier. But once you come to 2D, it becomes a very complex problem from the classification point of view. So what I want to say, that we cannot apply this PCA blindly on our data. Sometimes it may reduce the dimension, but the problem in the reduced dimension in the lower dimensional space becomes more complex than it was in the original space. Okay, so always this kind of analysis we should make on our data. So if a PCA will not serve the purpose for this kind of data set, then what is the solution? So the solution of that problem is LDA. So let me introduce you LDA in brief. Okay, so LDA stands for linear discriminant analysis. So what PCA project the data in lower dimensional space spanned by the direction of maximum variance. So for example, if you are having this data, this is coming from two classes, class 1 given by green square and class 2 from the red circle. You apply PCA, what will happen? It will find out a direction of maximum variance, whatever be the direction, and it will project it onto that, and you will get this kind of mixed cluster. Now what I want to show you from here, the same wide kind of thing. In 2D, our problem is you can separate the two classes just by a line. In 1D, you are getting mixed cluster, which is very difficult to classify. So what I want to say, however, the direction of maximum variance which you obtain using PCA may be useless for classification purpose. So linear discriminant analysis overcomes this limitation of PCA. So what LDA will do, if your problem is linearly separable, whatever be the complexity of the separable of the data in higher dimension, the same will be there in the reduced dimension. So it will preserve the classification complexity in the lower dimension space also. So for example, from here you see this is again a two-dimensional data. If I apply PCA, this is the line of maximum variation, and you see I am getting mixed cluster. But what I want to find out something like this, such that after projection I can get the separate clusters of two different classes. So LDA projects the data in lower dimensional space in such a way that patterns from different classes are well separated. Now this I told you, the direction of this line you can find out using the eigenvector corresponding to top eigenvalues of the covariance matrix. How to find out such a line? Okay, that we can do using LDA. So just some concept. One of the concept is the projection, which is very much clear to you. So if this is the direction of the line V, the projection of this point xi onto this line is given by V transpose xi. That is nothing, just dot product of V along with xi. Okay. So I am not going, because it's just 15 minutes, I am not going into theory of this. Just I am giving you the motivation of the LDA, how it can be, means how it will do the job. So suppose I am having a binary classification problem, means I am having two classes in my data, and there are total n number of points, n number of samples, and one samples are coming from class 1 and two samples are coming from class 2. Okay, and let us say samples are given by the vectors x1, x2, xn. So I am having total n samples x1, x2, xn. Out of those, n1 are coming from class 1 and n2 are coming from class 2. So let mu1 and mu2 be the means of patterns from class 1 and class 2 in the original space, means before projecting. And let us say mu1 tilde and mu2 tilde are mean of patterns after projection. So mu1 tilde for class 1 and mu2 tilde for class 2. Then what is mu1 tilde? It is 1 upon n V transpose xi, because it is after mu1 tilde is after projection. So projection of each point xi will be given by Vt xi, where xi belongs to class C1. So it is V transpose I can take out, and this one. And what is this? It is just the mean of the class 1 before projection. So mu1 tilde is nothing, just V transpose mu1. Similarly, mu2 tilde is V transpose mu2. Now, our aim is to have the patterns of these two classes away from each other after projection. So maximizing distance between their means may be a good measure. Means what I want to say, I am projecting it in onto a line. So if I keep the mean after projection far away from each other, means of different class, far away from each other, then it may happen I may have the separate cluster of those two classes. But just look, so the larger the mu1 tilde minus mu2 tilde, absolute difference between these two, means distance between those two means, the better is the separation. But is it true? Let us see from this particular example. If you see here, this is the mean of class 1, this is the mean of class 2, means mu1 and mu2 before projection. If I project this data onto horizontal axis, this is your mu1 tilde and this is your mu2 tilde, and this is the distance between mu1 and mu2. If I project it onto vertical axis, mu2 tilde and mu1 tilde, and this is the distance. So for horizontal or vertical, for which direction this one is bigger? Anybody of you? In horizontal I am having this much distance, in vertical I am having this much. Which one is
bigger, sir?
Horizontally. But if you project on the horizontal, you get this kind of thing. On vertical you got this kind of thing, you get this kind of thing. In horizontal, where the distance is bigger, you are getting mixed cluster of these two classes. You can see here, whereas on the vertical, where this distance is small, you are having very small clusters, means well separated cluster, because this is the point. Before this point you are having green class, after this point you are having red class. Okay, so the vertical axis is a better direction for projection, but this particular thing is bigger or larger for horizontal axis. So it is not a valid criteria, means this alone will not serve the purpose. We are missing something. And if you see on this example, you can observe what we are missing. Anybody of you? What we are missing? If you see the scatter of the data, if you see the scatter in scattering of this data in vertical direction and scattering of this data in horizontal direction, you can find out in which direction you are having much scattering, bigger scattering. Spectrum of the data, if I say horizontal or vertical?
Sir, scattering is more in horizontal.
Horizontal, sir.
Horizontal. So that's why you are getting mixed cluster in the horizontal direction. So I want to data, I have to include this criteria also. Okay, so one criteria is this one. I will take that the mu1 minus mu2 tilde means the mean after projection should be far away from each other, and the second criteria I will take that in that direction I must have the spectrum of the data minimum for each class. Okay, scattering of the data for each class minimum. So using this, okay, I will go for this one also. So based on that I can say I will follow these two criteria. So here I will make these two scatter matrix for class 1 and class 2 patterns after projection, and I want to keep the scatter minimum after projection. So I have to minimize S1 tilde square plus S2 tilde square. That is scattering matrix of class 1 after projection. This is the scattering matrix for class 2 after projection. And at same time I have to maximize mu1 tilde minus mu2 tilde. So this I have to minimize, this I have to maximize. If I have to minimize this, and you know that it is a non-zero quantity, it cannot be zero. So I can write maximize 1 upon, yes or no? If you want to minimize a non-zero x, it means you have to maximize 1 by x, yes or no? So you have to maximize this, you have to maximize this, and then you can combine it. Your objective function will become like this. So you will find out such a line V which maximize this particular thing. Here this numerator is saying what projected means are far from each other. This particular S1 tilde square is saying what scatter in class 1 is as small as possible, and similarly S2 tilde square is saying what scatter in class 2 as small as possible. So I want to project my data onto a line such that between class scatter matrix become small, between class scattering become more, and within class scattering should be minimum. And this you can, this is the concept of LDO. And if I go back to that particular thing, yeah, here itself, So same wine data set which I saw you for the PCA, it was not working. PCA was not working. Yeah, you can see you are getting the mixed clusters of those three classes. In case of LDA, you can see how good result I am getting. So all classes are well separated. Okay. So in that way, LDA is better than PCA. Okay, because it preserves classification property also. But the same time I am having a limitation of LDA also, that if you are having, let us say, 100 dimensional data, after using PCA you can go to 40, 50, 30, 20, 10, 5, whatever you want to go. But in LDA, if this 100 dimensional data is coming from n number of classes, you can reduce the dimension up to n minus 1 dimension only. So for example, this 100 dimensional data is coming from, let us say, 25 different classes. So here you can reduce this dimension up to 24 only. You cannot go below 24 using LDA. So that is the limitation of LDA. And then we are having many other variants of these two. So you can see more detail here about, so I have given link on all the slides. From there I have taken some figure, or you can read more thing from there. So with this I will close my presentation. If you are having questions, you can ask. Yeah, so I'm open for questions.
Sir, in one of the slides you shown us the direction of as V transpose. Can you just show us that slide once?
Which one?
Sir, in LDA.
Yeah.
Shown us the direction.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, which one you are saying? So I am going. This one?
No, the previous slide, sir. Now, previous slide.
Yeah, this one.
Yes, sir. Like how you said the direction as V transpose X. Can you just please explain again?
No, it's simply projection. So okay, if you see from the school mathematics, suppose I am having this one. Okay, so this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, and let us say this is your point 2i, 2 and 3. So if you are having this vector, how you will represent this vector? 2i plus 3j. Now I is a unit vector in the direction of x-axis, you know, and j is a vector in the direction of y-axis. If I want to projection of this point onto x-axis, so projection will be like this. Let me go this one. So this will be the projection, okay, at 2, 0. Okay, so what will be this particular thing? This will be 2i plus 3j, okay, and dot product with which one? The vector in along x-axis. What is that vector? I. So dot product give you 2. So this distance is 2. This is the projection. Okay. This I have explained here. Okay. This is the basic way of explaining this. I hope it is clear now. Okay. Similarly, if I want projection onto y-axis, I will be having j. Okay. So dot product of this 2, 3 with j means dot product with 0, 1. I means dot product with 1, 0. Okay. If I am having I want projection on any other vector, let us say v of this point 2, 3. Then if this vector is having the direction v1, v2, then it will be having dot product with V1 and V2. Okay, so this is the meaning.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, there was another example like where you shown us how to reduce from 100 to 40.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
after that, you showed us an example from, I mean, before Python, there were like 10 to 12 observations, right?
Yeah, let me go there. Yeah. Here you are
Before,
saying.
before this slide, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sir, like how are you finding the covariance matrix from here? Can you
Yeah,
please again
very simple. Yeah, it's not that much difficult. Let me do it. So what you do first? So the simplest way, I told you the definition, but from here itself, directly you can find out. So first you find out the mean of this column. Let us say mu1, okay, or mu x, okay, and find the mean of this. Let us say mu y. So mean you know how to find out, okay, sum of all these divided by 10, if these are 10 observations. Now you subtract this mean from each entry, 2.5, 0.5, okay, and mean of y from each entry of y. So let us say you got this new entry x dash and y dash, okay. So now what will be the mean of new data? This mean will be shifted to here at 0, 0. Yes or no?
Yes,
this
sir.
we are doing. Now what you do, you assume this as a 10 by 2 matrix. 10 by 2 matrix, and let us say it is our matrix D. Then the covariance matrix C is nothing, just okay, it will be, yeah, D transpose into D. Okay, so it comes out to be a 2 by 2 matrix.
Sir, one thing I just couldn't follow, like after finding the mean of x and y, and then we are subtracting the mean value from each and every observation, and we get x dash y dash, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we are finding the covariance as D transpose.
This will be, you take it as a 10 by 2 matrix. So this will be a array, not 2-dimensional array. Yes?
Yes, sir.
10 rows and 2 columns. Yes or no?
Yes,
so
sir.
you
Yes, sir.
take it as a matrix D, and then you just find out D transpose into D. That will be your covariance matrix.
Okay. Okay.
Or what you do, you find out the covariance of this row X, covariance of Y row, not covariance, sorry, variance of X, variance of Y, covariance between X and Y, and then covariance matrix will be sigma x square, sigma means variance of Y, covariance between X and Y, covariance between X and Y. This will be your covariance matrix.
Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, any other question? Yeah, if it is not, so thank you. Yeah, Dr. Ajay, are you there? Ajay sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I am done. Okay.
Okay, so is there
thank
any
you.
question from the participants?
Yeah, questions have been cleared. Okay.
Questions have been cleared. Okay. Sir, I was busy for 5 minutes.
Requesting you to please share your slides with Ajay sir, so that
Yeah, sure. I will.
And the Python code, like, can you also please share with Ajay
Yeah,
sir?
I will share. Okay.
Thank you,
I
sir.
will share.
Thank you, sir.
So
I will put on a Google Drive and I will share the link. Okay. I will make a folder on Drive and I will share the link.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I think the participants have enjoyed the session very much, and I think Dr. Sanjeev also enjoyed the session. So
Yeah.
Dr. Sanjeev, I will thank you that you accepted our invitation, and you have given such a nice talk, which was very, very informative. So once again, I will thank you to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajay, for inviting. And thanks to all participants for their patience and listening. So thank you. So I am leaving the meeting. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, sir. Bye, sir. Bye.
Bye-bye.